folk heritage. So here is a group that is marginal to the power situation, that is agitating for a place in the discourse, but is using the practices of music. If you look at, by just a way of backtracking, the first thing Critchlow buys for the BGLU is a piano, right? First thing is a piano and a hall. So with the hall, you now decenter the dependence on those folks who control halls. You've got an alternative place. You look at Fredericks's work, the repertoire of songs used at Negro Progress conventions, and Argosy carries it verbatim. They are doing a lot of Negro spirituals. You know, what the songs that W.E. Du Bois calls the sorrow songs. You know, the songs of pain, the songs of aspiration, the songs of hope. By 1922, the British Guyana East Indian Association is active, starts in Berbice and moves down to town, and that is now beginning to agitate for participation in the body politic. By 1924, the Portuguese club is formed. And in 1929, the Scottish club is formed, because within that European environment, there's a hierarchy. If you're Irish and Scots, you're down at the bottom of that. You know, you're not really in the game. You could work in the sugar estate as an overseer, but you know, you're really in a big body. You know, you're really not a top dog in this. So the Scots, you know, they form the St. Andrew Association, and they advocate, they play tantalize. The Scots Church, the Scots Kirk has a better organ than St. George's, and they're playing these kinds of games of accommodation. By 1931, during the 20s, you have music teachers offering music education, because there's a dynamic taking place in that. Women are not supposed to work, right? Women are supposed to stay home. But if the women stay home, they're supposed to do refined things. And among the refined things that women did was play music. And the women are saying, if you're going to play music, we got to be credentialized. Right? So by the 1920s and 1930s, you've got this agitation, and this is going to lead ultimately to the arrival of the Royal College of Music, permitting the LRSM and the grade 1 through 8 in Guyana. So between 1920 and 1930, we could have identified 25 music teachers, very few males, more males in New Amsterdam than in Georgetown. Females definitely dominating the education, music education in Guyana, and that has remained constant right across time. Well, in the 30s, in this early period, not only are people agitating for insertion or participating in the political processes, folks are demonstrating achievement. So you have arriving in Guyana, starting in the mid-1920s, Madam Alyce Fraser Denny. This bust is from a photograph of a bust that is in the National Cultural Center. Alyce Fraser Denny, Alyce Fraser Denny, has carved for herself quite a reputation in New York. She's part of the Harlem Renaissance. She is demonstrating, like her cohort at that point in time, Dunbar, that you can take that musical genre and you can excel in it. So Denny begins to return to Guyana annually from the 1920s to perform her choral music in Guyana. And at that point in time begins to destabilize this notion that if you're not within the social hierarchy, you have no competencies to perform in those musical genres. Well, it is not only, musical development is not only taking place in the classical realm. Guyana has a range of musical communities. You know, you've got that urban elite community, you've got that urban, what they call centipede community, you've got the rural communities. Within the rural communities, you've got the African villages community, you've got the plantation villages community, and in the hinterland, you've got about 9 discrete musical communities. So there are multiple musical communities, and all of these are going to be involved in this equation of government drawing upon music to promote particular goals. Now, music, the Guyanese record, also the Guyanese musical repertoire, also provides you with a record of the state of condition, music as document. And here is something that I don't know if many of us have heard before. 1931, Bill Rogers. Here's Bill, the reporter. Sugar sent a pound, the schooner thing, and somebody dived up the butt. The top bag was good, the middle bag was a little salty, and the bottom bag wasn't good enough. And Bill has this repertoire, this of the 1930s, where he's talking not only about the weed, you know, the weed woman and the bargee and whatever, he's commenting on all kinds of stuff. You know, he comments on the dead cow at Kingston. What was that story about? A cow followed the river, somebody chases in the river, drowned, and before the cow breathed its last breath, a set of coachers from Kingston arrived and bust up the cow, and he could tell you who get the liver and who get the light and whatever. Bill Rogers is also telling you about the sweet girls, you know. Yes. You would hear him talk about the edgy boys, right? But I like the edgy girls, right? Bill is telling you about the edgy girls, the same one we took out to dinner with only 10 cents. Yes. Right? But the edgy girls, he said, be careful with them, because them gold bangle that they got up their hand is really silver bangle dipped in gold. So Bill is providing this view on what is happening in the demi-monde, what is happening at the edges of society, what Gordon Rollier calls about this emerging proletariat. You know, you may want to call him lumpen proletariat, but he's talking about this other side of society. Well, by the 1930s, the establishment recognizes that there has to be some give in terms of the political dynamics, the practices of governance. So the issue becomes, how do you begin to develop an appreciation of who you are? And that task is seminally executed by Holly Bryant, the guy on the left. And I guess we all know Holly Bryant.
May in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana's sons and daughters can be.
Now that is one of Maureen Mendonca's friends. This young lady who sang this song was part of a rather progressive musical group at St. Rose's High School. And this recording was done in 2005 when Guyanese in diaspora were really very upset and saddened with the great floods in Guyana, and were doing a variety of things to mobilize support for that. That was her recording for her CD. Now, so Holly Bryant, Congregationalist, member of the same Church of John Smith, 1823. So Brian is of a tradition of that challenges the establishment. Coming out from New Amsterdam is custom.
on that others reign over fair lands afar, where sylvan vales and placid streams near the evening star.
But let's just stick a little bit on Mr. Kosu. What do you know about Kosu? Kosu studies at Howard University, right? Kosu was at Howard University in the heady days of Pan-Africanism. Kosu represents Guyana at the second Pan-African conference, I think it is, in Paris. So Kosu is a very conscious man, and if you listen to Kosu, if you compare Kosu's lyrics with Bryant's lyrics, Bryant's is geographical, you know, native land or whatever. Kosu's taking you deeper. Kosu is saying, you know, you can have all of that, but I got this. When I die, you know, bring me in. I don't want to be, you know, like, this is an internal discourse now going on about what it means to be Guyanese and part of that struggle. Meanwhile, in the diaspora, the Guyanese are into swinging. This is Ken Johnson. Now, there's a movie that Margaret Kelman made that's called Tradition, in which this little boy wanted to dance masquerade. And the mother said, boy, after I send you to high school and you get 12 GC, this is what you want to do? Dance masquerade? You ain't have no ambition? This guy get that abusing, you know. His father was a pretty established physician in Guyana. And he goes to Queens. Well, even worse yet, he went to Queens. You know? So he wanted to bring shame and scandal on the family. So the father sent him to England, not to any ordinary school, sent him to one of these schools that related to Eton and Harrow and one of those things. And your boy decided he wanted to dance. He wanted to swing. He wanted to be a jazz man. But he becomes the apex, the swing master of England, Ken Snakehips Johnson. And he comes back to Guyana in the 1930s and does a one-night show with Burt Rogers. And Burt Rogers, who had been to the Wembley exhibition in 1924, had brought back home to Guyana the first E-flat saxophone. So with Burt Rogers, Ken Snakehips Johnson, Gun Fernandes, they started to establish this jazz tradition in Guyana. This is in the 30s. So this whole notion of what the musical scape is becoming wider and wider. There's more in that.